Hey, what's up, RC family? This is Tom with Attached RC Rock Crawlers. Today, I'm in the process of fixing and upgrading my BC8 Mammoth, made by Cross. We call it the Rusty Russian. I hope that's, well, don't really care if that offends anybody because there's nothing wrong with that. But anyway, I'm first is I'm fixing the transmission because last year at Proline by the Fire, I did the pull test, and it was like a deadlift test, and it pulled like 160 pounds or something like that. I don't remember, but I broke the transmission. Here's one of the gears. All the teeth are shaved off right here. I haven't got it completely pulled apart yet, but that's it. And sure wish there was only 3 gears, but because this confuses the hell out of me. Anyway, we'll get it back together. Anyway, let me pull some other gears and see if I did any other damage. Okay, I disassembled the whole thing, cleaned the gears off, replaced this gear. Was the only one I had to replace. Took out all the shavings. There was only a couple I found. Made sure all the gears were clean. I just got to grease it, get it put together. Had to pull up the old manual if you want to take a snap of that. That's a transmission assembly. This is the gear right here I had to replace. The pictures aren't exact. If you've noticed, between the big gear and the smaller gear, on here there's a space, and they do that with all the gears. There's no space in the drawings. If you notice over here, there's no space. So you really have to pay attention to detail. Anyway, let's get this thing greased up and put back in, and then I'll show you the other upgrades I made. Okay, before I get the transmission installed, it's a little easier to get these drive shafts in, and I went with new MIP Driveshafts. 18170 is the part number, and I have another set of drive shafts I tried. It was the big thick ones that RC 4-wheel drive sold. I'm having a brain fart at the moment. But they were too big. They were just too big to go between the diff right here and this. Oh, it's hard to see this little cross member right here, but it wouldn't fit, especially at the angle they go at. Punisher shafts. That's the name of them. Anyway, let's get this in. I gotta get this in, and my drive shafts. Got the MIP shafts installed, as you can see, and I have my transmission in. And sorry about this. I mean, if you've noticed, this is dirty, so I've had this in for a while, but I decided to put the front one in. The reason I put this one in, the MIP, was the stock drive shafts. Okay, they're strong. Don't get me wrong, they're really strong. The transmission broke on the deadlift at Proline by the Fire before anything happened to the drive shaft. But a few years ago, I was driving around town, during one of the events, and I was driving my Mammoth around. And this spring, which holds the pin in, spread apart. It just spread apart, and the pin came through. And you don't want something like that happening when you're on the trail and having to carry a 35-pound rig back to the where you're parked at. And I've seen these MIPs used, and I just wanted to go with something stronger and something that the pin's not going to come out on. But it doesn't mean it won't happen to this. I've seen the pins come out of these before because people didn't use Loctite on these grub screws right here. So make sure you use the Loctite and use the lube, because these will start wallowing out a little bit, and then they start having problems. I've used MIPs for over 15 years. And my next upgrade, which I already have installed, are Proline 75 millimeter scalar shocks. That it's made for a crawler, you know, but they're the exact same length as the stock shocks, and I really like them. I've had some on killer wafts for like 5 years, and they still don't leak. These I'm running 33 weight Pitbull silicone oil in, and I have the adjustment nut all the way up to give it the least amount of pressure as possible. And if they're little, let me see, they're a little stiffer than stock, but I'm fine with that. It still flexes from what I can tell. When I put it up on something, it doesn't lift the body too much. So hopefully it'll still be able to flex. If not, I'll just look for lighter springs. It's not that big of a deal. And that, I believe that is the end of the upgrades. The 1290 inch of torque SHV800 servos from Holmes-Hobbies. They're incredibly powerful, and they turn the tires like nothing. Got my transmission in, got my shocks on, got my new MIP Driveshafts on, took it for a test drive and broke a shaft. Literally 30 seconds into it. In all honesty, it broke really easy. I think it was a stress point from last year when I broke my transmission. But, you know, I got 3 extras. You know, try to always be prepared. And it's an easy swap. I rather have these break than the transmission anyway. Got to have a weak point somewhere. And considering I pulled my son when he was weighing like 187 pounds on a wagon, it's a beast for sure. Anyway, test drive later. Thanks guys for watching.